Oh man. Before we get started with today's video, I wanted to give a big shout out to Jeff with Madhatter's Reef. He has a reef related channel. His link is down below. If you haven't subscribed, I strongly recommend you do so. He has a very educational reef channel, very big sense of humor, and entertaining to watch. Now let's get to drilling this tank. Alright, in today's video I'll be drilling a hole in the back of my new 100-gallon rimless tank. The hole will be drilled with a 35mm diamond coated glass drill bit purchased from Bulk Reef Supply for about $24. The 35mm bit will create a hole to fit a 3/4 inch bulkhead. The tank was purchased from Crystal Dynamics and shipped to Neptune's Aquatics in San Jose, California. When I first ordered my tank, I had Crystal Dynamics drill 3/4 inch dual returns, a 1.5 inch drains, and a 1 inch hole on the back lower left of the tank. If you've been following my build, you know that the new setup will be constructed so that I can do bucketless water changes. The 1 inch hole on the lower left corner will serve as my drain to drain water out of the main display tank through the wall and down into the garage's utility sink. My original plan was to have the water fed from my water mixing station through the wall and into my sump. After having received my tank, I decided to have the newly mixed salt water fed directly into my main display. It made more sense to do it this way since I would be able to visually see the water line in the display tank and know when to cut off the Vector M1 pump that is downstairs in the saltwater mixing station. Otherwise, I would have fed the newly mixed salt water into the sump and would have to guess how much water was enough. So my buddy Jason and I got to work on drilling the hole. I did this in my driveway, so I laid out some cardboard and towels to protect the front of the tank's glass. I grabbed a piece of scrap wood and lined it up with one of the pre-existing 3/4 inch return holes. I did this for two reasons. One, I could use the wood as a guide for the diamond glass bit, and secondly, the new hole would be drilled at the same depth as the pre-existing 3/4 inch return. I placed the wood onto the front of the return hole, made sure the top of the wood was flush with the top of the glass. I used a marker to stencil out the hole onto the wood. I took a 1.5 inch drill bit and drilled a hole where I had created the stencil. The piece of wood ended up being too wide, so I grabbed my circular saw and cut the wood in half off camera. I then measured half the distance between the left return hole and the overflow box. This is where I decided to make my cut. I placed the wooden guide down onto the back of the tank and again ensured that the top of the wood was flush with the top of the glass. I started drilling at a slight angle to create a channel for the rest of the drill bit to catch on. I then slowly started lowering the drill till the entire bit was flush with the surface of the glass. As I started to drill, Jason began to supply me with some water to keep the bit cool. Just be careful not to get the drill wet or you'll end up having a bad day. I allowed the bit to do all the cutting as I was careful not to apply any downward pressure whatsoever. You'll also want to make sure you place a towel down below your cut to prevent the glass cutout from falling out and cracking your tank. It's a good idea to also use tape behind the cut to catch the cutout. This is 1/2 inch glass and it took the drill bit about 4 minutes to cut all the way through. From my understanding, it's very rare to get a perfectly clean cut drilling glass. You can see that the glass cutout had some small chips of glass around the ends. Although there were some small chips around the hole I had just cut, the bulkhead will end up covering those up. Even though I've done this a couple of times in the past, I was still very nervous.
Can you say nervous?
Maybe you should have your wife come back. I don't know what to do with it.
All in all, I was very satisfied with the results. If you're looking to cut a hole through your glass aquarium, just make sure that it's not tempered. Otherwise, the process is pretty easy if you're using a high quality diamond coated drill bit. Since I decided to place a 3/4 inch return for the water changes inside of the display tank, I had to make a quick and easy modification to the PVC run going from the saltwater mixing bin back up to the aquarium to prevent back siphon from the display tank back into the water mixing station. I removed a piece of the PVC run, cut it, and installed a check valve. Since the 3/4 inch return from the water changing system is located at the top of the water line, any back siphon that would occur would be minimal, but a check valve installed here wouldn't hurt. If you enjoyed this video, please take the 2 seconds to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, click the subscription button and the bell to be notified when new videos are released. As usual, your comments down below are much appreciated. Thank you very much all for watching, and we'll see you guys next Sunday.